Hey Science 8s, it's Manchak here with your introduction video for Concept E1, which is also the introduction to Unit E. Can you believe that we are almost done Science 8? We finished together, we finished concepts in Unit C. We finished all of Unit E, which you should have wrapped up last week. Or sorry, all of Unit D, which you should have wrapped up last week. And now we've moved on to concept or Unit E with Concept E1, which is what this video is going to be covering. I'm amazed. We will have done by the end of this unit a little over 2 units where we haven't been face to face in the classroom. And I know it's been hard for me. I can imagine it's been challenging for you guys on a student end of thing to try to make things happen and make things work. With that in mind, what I'm actually going to do for this concept is do something a little bit different than I've done before. I'm trying an experiment to see how it works. And this experiment has been floating around in my head for a while because I found that every week I sit down and I record a 40-minute video of me yapping to you guys over top of the notes that I normally present in class. And if I was you sitting in your position, I think I would find that pretty boring. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try to take advantage of the amazing resources that are out there on the internet, particularly in YouTube videos and other places, to have them do some of the explaining for me instead. The reason why I want to do that is they often do a great job of explaining it, as good or better as I would be able to do, and they have much greater production value. They're not just standing there waving their arms around like I always do. They've got graphics, they've got animations, they've got a heck of a lot more going for them than I can do just sitting here in my basement. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going to try this out, to see if it's a little more engaging for you and to free up a little bit more of my time to maybe do some other little tutorial videos on things that I think are a little challenging for you. With that said, at the end of this concept, I am going to ask you guys to do a bit of a survey to sort of help me decide whether this is something that you want me to continue or whether you like the old way of doing things. I'm flexible at this point. We're on our last unit. What I'm hoping to do is build up some other skills in case we are doing this again next year, if things don't get back to normal by the time September rolls around. So I will be looking for your feedback at the end of this. Let me know how it's going and what's going to happen. So what this video is going to be is hopefully relatively short, maybe 15 minutes. I'm going to run you through the unit and what we're going to cover in the unit. I'm going to go then zoom into concept E1 and talk a little bit about what we want from concept E1. I'm going to bring over a set of notes that I've got sitting off to the side here that I want to show you guys the notes that you're working through so that we have the ability to be on the same page. I'll tell you what I think is the most important in those notes, and then you guys can go and launch through the playlist and watch the videos that I've laid out for you. And I'll show you how you're going to access that playlist and what's on it and all of those kinds of things. So settle in. We're going to do this as quickly as we can so you don't have to see my ugly mug. Oh, and I had to put in something related to water because that is what this entire unit is all about water. So the unit is called Unit E, Fresh and Saltwater Systems. There are four concepts that we are going to be going through in this unit, or four general outcomes that we're going to be moving our way through. We're going to describe distribution and characteristics of water both locally and globally, and identify the significance of water supply and quality to how we meet our needs as humans. We're going to investigate the linkages between landforms, water, and climate, which will be concept E2 coming up later. We'll analyze factors affecting productivity and species distribution in marine and freshwater environments. We're going to talk a lot about fresh versus saltwater in this unit, and you guys will get pretty comfortable with that. And then we'll analyze the human impacts on aquatic ecosystems. In other words, what are we doing? How does science and technology have a role to play in preventing bad things from happening or solving problems if we do have them? And then we'll get into addressing some problems and issues. As we move through the unit, I'm hoping that I can bring in some opportunities for you guys to get outside in this unit. That's why I like to do Unity right at the end of the year. The weather starts getting really nice and we could go outside normally as a group and maybe go find a wetland somewhere and test water quality, do those kinds of things. I'm going to try to do that at some point in this unit. I'm going to try to get you guys outside, try to find a nearby, body of water. Maybe you can start scouting and see if there's a slough or something like that on your property. If you're in town, close by to town, that you might be able to ride your bike to or walk to, so that we can maybe do a bit of an exploration of that. So stay tuned on that. That'll come up later on along the way. Today, what I want to do is I want to go through concept E1, which is this concept right here. So we're talking about water distribution and water quality. So we'll talk a little bit about where we find water in the world and what forms it comes into. We're going to talk about fresh versus salt water and how we describe the quality of water based on things like dissolved minerals, particulates, all sorts of things like that. We're going to identify major factors used in determining whether a water is potable or potable. I've heard both terms. Basically, can we drink it? Is it safe for us to consume? And then we're going to get into talking about how we can actually turn salt water into fresh water and what those processes are going to be. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff going on, and we're going to work our way through that. So here's how I want things to go moving forward here. I'm going to pull up what I usually have, which is my little lesson plan for what I think I want to go through with you guys. And I've already said we're going to try something new, this concept, and we're going to play around with this new sort of format of doing things. What I want to do now is just sort of show you where you're going to find the bits and pieces that we need. So this video is going to be in the Google Classroom, and you've probably already found it, like you have with all the other ones, under E1, lesson, water distribution, etc. When you click on that, you're going to find the usual things that I normally have in there, plus you're going to have a playlist that is linked to this. This playlist, when you click on it, links to several videos in a playlist. Now, mine probably looks a little different because this is my YouTube channel and this is the playlist that I've set up. But you guys will be able to hit the play all when you get on this playlist, and it's going to bring you through in order these 6 videos. And if you total them up, these 6 videos total, I think, about 20 minutes of video, give or take, for you guys to watch. So here's what I want you to do. And I'm going to give you 2 choices here. You can go and start to watch this playlist right now, but make sure you've got your notes handy with you. So get your notes out in front of you, whether it's up on the screen and you're following through that way, or whether you've got a printed set of notes. You can find the notes, as always, in the Google Classroom under Unit E. There's a section called Resources and Notes, and you can click out Handout 1. That is the notes for the entire unit. Okay, so you're going to get ready with that playlist. You can hit play and follow along with your notes. The videos are more or less in order. They go a little bit deeper, a little bit shallower, depending on where the notes are. That was a water pun, in case you didn't catch that. And you're going to more or less walk your way through the notes that way, maybe filling in the blanks here or there, filling in the margins, saying, hey, that was really interesting, that wasn't. And then what I'd like you to do, I think the best way to do it is then go back to your notes again and watch the tail end of this video. Because what I'm going to do in the tail end of the video is I'm going to drag on the notes, and I'm just going to go through and say, hey, that's important, that's important, that's important. Oh, just a little bit more on this, that kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to work our way through it that way. So what I would like you guys to do is in a moment here, hit play all on that playlist that we've got. Watch the videos with your notes open, and then come back to this video, hit pause, come back to this video, and then wait for me to go through what's going on with the notes. Okay, so hit pause now. Awesome. So hopefully you guys have gone through that playlist and have had a look at all of the videos that are on there. Like I said, they don't necessarily relate perfectly to what's going on, but there are definitely key elements that I hope you found in the videos that are also in the notes. Your notes are what I am going to base your quizzes on. So in the videos, they go by quickly often, and it's hard. What you pick out as important may not be what I think is important. So in order to make sure that we're all on the same page, pun intended, we are going to make sure that you are following my notes as your guide to what is important to know for the quiz. Okay, so here's the notes. If you don't have them open them up now. And remember, we're working through these pages in the textbook at the top here, 334 to 347, covering these specific outcomes here. I want you guys to know about where we find water on Earth and in what forms. And so this diagram that I circled here is super important. Okay, I want you guys to understand 97% is found in the oceans, which means it's salt water. That means that 3% of what's left over here on Earth is fresh water. Of that fresh water, a bunch of it is locked up in ice caps and glaciers, a bunch of it's buried underground, and about 1% of that 3% is actually accessible, easily accessible surface water. So I really want you guys to maybe not memorize exactly the numbers, but have a general idea that most of the water, the vast majority of it on Earth, is salt water, and a tiny amount of it is fresh water. And then of that amount of fresh water, a very tiny amount of that, 1%, is accessible as easily accessible water. It's not buried underground. It's not locked away in ice caps or glaciers. Okay. So I hope that makes sense, and I want that important. I want you guys to understand all of the vocabulary in this. So bolded and underlined words are vocabulary. You should know them. Learn them, please. I want you to understand a little bit about Alberta, and this is just a diagram that I included of the different river basins or watersheds that we have here in Alberta. And we are in the North Saskatchewan watershed, which is this one right here. And there was a video that you guys watched that described it very briefly and very succinctly, where the water comes from and where it goes to, and the fact that the Battle River watershed is actually part of the whole North Saskatchewan watershed, which I think is really interesting. Next big idea in this section is water quality and understanding what water quality is and how it works. So please understand how we define water quality and how we measure whether water quality is safe or not. What are the things that we look for to make sure that water is safe for us to drink or safe for us to use? And not just us as humans, but how is water quality affecting organisms as well, and whether they are safe or not. Okay. Substances dissolved in water, make sure you can list some of these things that affect the quality of water that we have in our ecosystems or available for humans, and be able to tell me a little bit about each of those ideas, like salts, minerals, organisms like organic matter, that kind of stuff. Tell me a little bit about the things that that we test in order to figure out whether water is clean, and see if you can link some of these ideas here, like taste and color or dissolved oxygen, to maybe some of this stuff up here that's dissolved in water normally. Remember that not all water is safe, even if it appears to be clean. There's stuff that we can't see with our naked eye that is in there and could make you quite sick. So be aware of that. The last bit I want you to note and to dig in a little bit, and there was a video on this as well, it was the last video or second last video in the playlist, is I want you guys to understand how we can change salt water into fresh water. And so what are the processes that we need to go through, understand what distillation is in general terms, and understand what a reverse osmosis is in general terms. Okay, so those are the key points, the most important things I think for concept E1 for you guys to understand. Just moving back then to my lesson plan to let you know what else I want you to work on. I'd like you guys to finish up page 347, 1 through 5, just those 5 questions out of your textbook. Have a look at them, see how they work. If you have any, my wife is going by making funny faces as I'm recording this video, so my smirking is coming from that. Do those questions. If you need any help with them, track me down. There is worksheet number 1 as well in the Google Classroom under notes and worksheets for this unit. You can do concept E1 in there. There's a key. Don't forget the keys are all located in resources, keys to worksheets. And then there's the worksheet 1 key there for you as well. Once you've done all of that and you feel like you're ready to go, please tackle the Google Classroom or the practice quiz in the Google Classroom. Here's the thing. I'm going to try this. We're experimenting. So don't forget, you can do this open book now. But with that comes the caveat that I'm going to make the questions just a little bit harder than we've been dealing with before, just to challenge you a bit more, because you have the opportunity to look through your notes. Okay, so I'm going to be expecting your answers to be, if it's a written response, I'm expecting it to be a little bit better. I want you guys to actually answer the question. Read it through carefully, give me a nice reasoned response. Please do not copy anything directly off the internet, or I will give you a mark of 0 on that, okay? Plagiarism is not allowed. Once you've done that and you've received my feedback, as always, please do the quiz when I've given you the okay to do so. And I will say, hey, you're ready to do the E1 quiz, or actually, no, I want you to go back and do these things and then maybe resubmit the practice quiz. Then I'll give you feedback again. Okay, so that's all I have to say for you guys for Concept E1, other than once you've done the summative quiz, please take the time to do the practice questions, or sorry, the practice question, the survey that I have in the Google Classroom. Tell me what you think about this new format. Does it work for you? Doesn't it? Be honest in your responses so that I can make changes if I need to. Maybe I go back to what I had before. Maybe I do a little bit of both, those kinds of things. So that's all I have to say for you guys. Track me down if you need any help anywhere along the way. Come into office hours. If office hours don't work for you, fire me an email. We will set up a time during school hours for us to work together on something if you need it. I would love to have the opportunity to work virtual face to virtual face with you. So stay healthy, and we will talk really soon in Concept E2.